Hi, I'm Mac, and I'm doing my overview and summary of what I've read of the book Just Mercy up until now by Bryan Stevenson. So the main story is that Stevenson it tells the case of Walter McMillian, and so uh, Walter Walter had an interracial relationship and basically put him on a long road to being convicted for a murder that he didn't commit. And Stevenson goes through, sees the horrible evidence and all the inadequacies in the U.S. judicial system, and strives to bring justice to Walter. So, chapter 3 was the chapter that hit me hard, or the first chapter that really hit me hard, and so it was explaining how evidence was pinned against Walter and how it was incorrect, and how Walter was put in death row before he should have been, or he shouldn't have been at all, but had been in death row before he legally should have been. But the thing that really stood out to me in that chapter was the account of John Evans, where it took him 14 minutes in the electric chair to die. That was horrific to read about, and that was not, yeah, wasn't an enjoyable part of the book. Um, Chapter 4 went through the story of Michael Lindsay, Horace Duncan, and Herbert Richardson. They were all sentenced to death through electrocution, probably the same horrors that John Evans had to go through. I think they're all like unjustly sentenced to death, and that was an upsetting chapter as well. Most of the chapters are upsetting for me, but chapter 5 was about how the community was affected by Walter's conviction. And so Stevenson compares the community of his community to the community of that in the short story of The Coming of John by W.E.B. Du Bois. Chapter 6 told the story of a young boy named Charlie. He killed his mother's abusive boyfriend when he was 13, and he was tried as an adult for murder. Stevenson, though, was able to change his sentence, and Charlie was released to a loving family, but not before suffering multiple rapings in jail. Chapter 7 went through the many different ways Walter's case was all screwed up. The evidence was really bad. The officers, jury, judges were biased, and just the case was handled very illegally and incorrectly. Reading chapter 8, though, that one killed me. I had to stop and cry after the account of George Stiddy. He was I believe, a 13 or 14-year-old little boy, who was killed through electrocution for a trial he didn't commit, or for a murder he didn't commit. They said that the adult-sized mask came off, and all you could see was tears and saliva from his mouth, and that was just horrible. And imagining someone the same age as my sister going through that kind of death is not good. Chapter 9 was a lot easier for me to deal with. It was about how Stevenson was actually able to get the case, and justice was going to, or seemed to be served, and Stevenson exposed how all of the evidence for Walter's case is messed up. And so there's an account of Mrs. Williams, who went into the court after being terrified of the dog. She still proudly went in, and just her the strength of her strength and the strength of her community and her willingness to stand up for justice was really inspiring, and that helped a little bit with dealing with the book. But then chapter 10 made me once again upset. It was so many people with intense mental illnesses are tried the same as people without mental illnesses, and that was really upsetting, because I've been in a mental hospital, and I've seen how they treat people with psychosis and schizophrenia, and it is already not good. But to think that it can get worse is really hard to think about. So overall, I don't like this book, because I tend to just subscribe to the theory that ignorance is bliss, But yeah, all right, it's been my summary. Thank you.